To know more about skincare products, first of all, we need to know more about what is the structure of skin. So, in this lecture, we will be going through the skin anatomy and physiology. So, going forward, what is skin? Skin is an organ because it consists of different tissues that are joined to perform a specific function. Skin is the largest organ of the body, completely covering the body, continuous with membranes lining body orifices. The average thickness of a skin is 1 to 2 mm, zero point 0.5 mm on eyelids, and 6 mm on palms and soles. The pH of the skin is 4 to 5.6. The renewal of the skin takes place in 28 to 50 days by shedding of outer layer. It is very important to know that renewal of skin takes place in 28 to 50 days. If you give any skincare product that exfoliates, so it will exfoliate within 28 to 50 days. Then we will move further for the skin anatomy. So skin has three layers, that is epidermis, dermis, hypodermis, and under that is muscles and bones. So if you see this diagram, the whole part over here, this is epidermis, as well as this part over here, this is dermis, and the underneath it is subcutaneous fatty tissue, hypodermis or muscles and bones. More important here it is the epidermis has five layers: stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, as well as stratum basal. As well as dermis also has two layers, that is papillary layer as well as reticular layer. To know more about all this, we will move further and see every each and every layer in detail. So moving towards epidermis. As we have already seen in the previous slide, this is the that epidermis has five layers. Also, epidermis has four cells also. Which are the four cells? That is keratinocyte, melanocytes, Langerhans cells, as well as Merkel cells. So, epidermis is consist of five layers: stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, as well as stratum basal. As well as it also contains four cells, that is keratinocytes, melanocytes, Langerhans cells, Merkel cells. In the most important from these cells is keratinocytes and melanocytes. Why are they important and why we should study about them? We will see in the next slide. So this is more about the layers of the epidermis. Stratum corneum. It is 15 to 20 layers of dead cells. The mechanism of them is for protection and waterproofing. Stratum lucidum is found in some of the layers of the skin. It is flat epithelial cells, homogeneous translucent appearance it has. As well as stratum granulosum, it is 2 to 5 layers of flattened rhomboid cells. It is generally thin or absent in psoriasis. Stratum spinosum, it is prickle-like cell layer. Stratum basal is the lowest layer, which is here above the dermis, and usually it is 2 to 3 cell thick glabrous skin and hyperproliferative epidermis. Now we will see what are the important cells in the epidermis. So cells in the epidermis are keratinocytes, which is the most abundant cell available in epidermis. They produce keratin, which is a fibrous protein The function of keratinocytes is protection and waterproofing. Keratinocytes goes into continuous mitosis. If you know, the process of mitosis is as it divides one cell into two, two cell into four, four cell into four cell into eight, sorry, eight cell into 16, 16 cell into 32. Likewise, the division of cells takes place. Also, keratinocyte. This keratinocyte is the only cell which has the property of pushing themselves from dermis towards the upper layer, that is the stratum corneum. They have this property of pushing themselves upwards. When they push themselves upwards, they become dead cells. And because they are filled, keratinocytes are filled with keratin, they release keratin and they slog off in when they come in contact with UV rays. This is all about keratinocytes. Now we will look onto melanocytes. Melanocytes are the cells that produce brownish black pigment that is called melanin. The melanocytes, they are formed in the basal layer of the epidermis. Melanin gets accumulated in the melanosomes and they get transported along with dendrites of the melanocytes to keratinocytes. This is the property of melanin or melanocytes, that they get accumulated on the superficial layer of the keratinocytes. And as the keratinocyte has a property of moving upwards from basal layer to stratum corneum, so melanosomes also they get accumulated on the superficial layer of the keratinocytes, and they are pushed towards the stratum corneum. Here, both melanocytes, melanosomes, and release keratinocytes release keratin, melanocytes produce melanin. So, what is melanin? Melanin is a pigment which is necessary to know the color of the skin, whether the skin is black, brownish, pinkish, yellowish. This can only be defined by the melanin. Next, we will move further to the anatomy of dermis. Dermis has two layers, papillary layer as well as reticular layer. So we will see into detail what papillary layer consists of and what reticular layer consists of. So if you can see in the diagram over here, this is papillary layer. So from here, it is all papillary layer. So what does papillary layer consist of? It consists of macrophages, it consists of fibroblast, as well as nerves, pain receptors. That is not necessary for us to study, but with the reticular layer, this layer, it is very much necessary for us to study what is the reticular layer consists of. So reticular layer consists of elastic fibers, collagen fibers, as well as, if you can see in the second diagram, it consists of hair follicle, sebaceous glands, okay, arteries, blood vessels, I mean erectile muscles. So all these are the part of reticular layer. So moving forward, this is what the anatomy of the skin is all about. So seeing this lecture, what physiology of the skin is? The physiology of the skin is protection of the body, as well as waterproofing, as well as they give vitamin D synthesis is also occurs in the skin, and more towards protection of the skin. Protection of the body takes place by of the muscles as well as bones. Now we'll move further and we see what product target area the product should be targeted. So if we have three types of products, or we may say we have three forms of pores, three categories of pores. So we have skin lightening pore, we have anti-aging pores, as well as we have anti-hair fall pores. So we will see each pore skin. I mean, where does in which area of the skin this particular layer product works. So if we consider skin lightening product, this what according to you it should target which layer of the skin. So if we consider skin lightening product, it targets to the only towards the epidermis. It targets the epidermis. So if it targets the epidermis, so what should be the form of the skin lightening products? They are orals or cream or lotions. Now if we consider anti-aging products, where should anti-aging products work? They should work in dermis layer because it the only the dermis contains elastic fibers and collagen fibers. So it is very necessary for any anti-aging product. It should, if it is a topical preparation, it should pass the pores, the cells, and it should act on dermis level. That's why any anti-aging product should be in the form of a serum or should be in the form of gel. Third, which is anti-hair fall products. If we consider the structure of skin, and we know now that hair is in the dermis level. So any anti-hair fall product should be working in dermis level. So they should be in the form of oral, serum, or gel. That's all for the for us to understand what the skin structure is. If we summarize, skin has three layers, that is epidermis, dermis, hypodermis. Under epidermis has five layers and four cells, as well as dermis has two layers. Okay, thank you.